All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, March 13th. We have a 5-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so what I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. The hot streak stays alive. Yesterday, we go 7-1. The Hornets being the only one that does not come through for us. And honestly, I deserve that, right? Like, rolling with the Hornets as a final play, we deserve that. That could have been a nice sweep if we just left it off the board. But you know what? Still a very good night. I don't want to jinx it, but I believe that puts us on a 17-2 run. We've been having a ton of sweeps, a ton of good days. We'll take it. Again, I'm not jinxing it. That other shoe's going to drop at some point, but a 7-2 day yesterday. It's pumping some crowd noise for that. Jalen Green comes through for us. We did have to sweat a few of these out, I'll be honest. Jalen Green comes through for us. Tyler Hero comes through for us. Mikal Bridges, we cashed his over in points. And that same game parlay that we posted on Instagram. Make sure you're following me there at EvPicks, picks with a Z. Hornets +9 being our only loss. Jaden McDaniels, De'Aaron Fox, and the Jazz Grizz under all cash as well. Hey, I'm loving it. Hopefully we can take that momentum into today. It is a little iffy of an NBA slate, but you know what? We'll still ride that hot hand. In terms of the ride of the day, speaking of riding, unfortunately, soundboard's getting a lot of use this morning. Julius Randle over 12.5 rebounds plus this. I like this look. Just Drayson TV was on a streak, or looking to go on a streak here. This would have been his second win in a row. And Julius Randle has a pretty good scoring night, right? 25 points last night in the dub, but only 7 rebounds plus assists. So unfortunately, that does not come through. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments, or ROTD. Give me your favorite play. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also shout you out over on my Twitter/X, which will be rotating here throughout the show. And you get a shout out with the final plays over on the Guy Boston Sports site. So yeah, get those hashtag ride of the days down in the comments. Looking forward to jumping on board with someone today. I like this look from Just Drayson yesterday. Just didn't come through, unfortunately, but it was still a good look. But all right, what do you say we jump into today's slate? Like I said, kind of a weird one. We do have some close games, or predicted close games, but not exactly the most premier slate. But we'll see what we can come up with here in this one, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get going. Starting it off with a matchup that we saw just a couple days ago, Detroit taking on Washington. Detroit's 13.5 point favorites, total sitting at 236.5. In the previous one, which was, again, just a couple days ago, Detroit won this one 123-113. No real surprise there. They were 15-point favorites. Taking a peek at the injury report, it looks like pretty much the same thing. Maybe even Washington's a little bit healthier, but this is still a spot in which Detroit's playing some decent basketball, right? I mean, they went on their streak. They kind of had a little bit of a lull, but they're back to it. And sure, you could be like, oh, well, back to it. They beat Portland. They beat Washington. They definitely haven't had the hardest of schedules in their last few games or so, but they're playing Washington again, so you can't hold that against them. We just saw what they can do to this team. I don't think that I'm going to ultimately get there myself, just being honest with you guys, but there's still no reason or call to action in terms of me liking Washington. Like, this is the worst team in the NBA by far, and Detroit is a gritty, play hard against anybody type of a team. They should be able to score in the paint, which is what Detroit likes to do. And Detroit's outside defense hasn't been all that bad, which is the only way really Washington's been shooting the ball predominantly. So yeah, give me Detroit in this one. Maybe this is something that we throw into some sort of a parlay if we can get that line down to like 4.5 or something like that. But ultimately the number is a little bit too big, even though they just beat them by 20. Things could change and could be a little bit more competitive. It's tough to blow out a team 2 times in a row, right? In terms of what we have from a total, I think this one goes under. Now, last game also went under, right? And I think the same exact thing applies. This Detroit defense is I think, a little bit better than they get credit for. In fact, over the last 3 games, number 1 team in defensive efficiency. I already talked about the strength of schedule, though. And Washington, even though they play with a fast pace, they're terrible in the offensive efficiency category, right? So I think we might do what we did last game, which was cashing. We actually made it a final play. Washington team total under. I could justify that, or even just taking a full game under as well, because even Detroit went off in that game, relative to the total. They scored 123, and it still stayed under the number by like 10 points. So I'd say some form-minute under maybe, but maybe a Washington team total. We just run back what we had done last time out. I also don't mind Malik Beasley, excuse me. I feel like this is a good spot to kind of double down on it. We didn't end up making it a final play last time, but I liked his points last game, and I also liked his threes, and I feel like that's kind of going to be the spot where we turn back to again here. He's a guy that can definitely thrive in blowout situations. He hit his 3-point line, didn't hit his point sign last time, only a couple shy, so maybe we take a peek at either one of those. I believe you're getting plus money for his over 3.5 threes in this one, so maybe that's a consideration. But again, let's be real, we're not talking about the best game of the season or anything like that, so having too much action on this game could be a problem, I guess. All right, Milwaukee taking on the Lakers. This is definitely going to be one that we have to keep an eye on the injury report because, if you guys don't know, LeBron James is sidelined for a couple weeks now. We still are without, on that side, Rui Hachimura, Jackson Hayes, obviously Maxi Kleber. But Luka Doncic is also listed as questionable. Not doubtful, but not probable. Right in the middle, questionable. So obviously we'll want to make sure he's playing if you're on the Lakers side of things. But then on the Milwaukee side of things, if you are on the Milwaukee, you're going to want to make sure that Lillard and Giannis are playing. They're both listed as probable. Now, to their credit, I guess, they've been listed as probable in plenty of games, and, they've played in plenty of those games throughout the season and as of late. But again, if Giannis just gets ruled out, different Milwaukee team. If Doncic gets rules out with no LeBron, what a different Lakers team, right? So this is one where, I do think that it could be a good spot as long as Giannis and Dame play a good spot for Milwaukee here. I don't really see, Luka being able to carry a team. I know he's done it before, but I don't see him being able to carry an absolute team of, Dalton Kennett, Finney Smith, Alex Len, Austin Reeves. And speaking of Alex Len, there's really close to no presence down low for this Lakers squad. And yeah, they've kind of been able to get by and have a really good interior defense, I'll be honest. Recently, like, credit to them, but no Jackson Hayes here in this one. Even LeBron being, you say what you want about his defense, but he's a strong, tough body down low. I don't think that Alex Len and company are going to be stopping Giannis as he drives the lane. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is probably going to be a Luka just chuck a bunch of shots and do whatever he wants type of a night. I don't think that that's going to lead to a win or a cover. So, yeah, give me Milwaukee in this spot. The one thing that I will say, and kind of give you a little bit of credit if you do like the Lakers, and again, they have so many injuries that I don't know if we can say the Lakers, right? Like, they're missing a lot of pieces, but say those guys don't impact this, we can at least give a little bit of credit. Milwaukee runs a ton of isolation. Lakers, top 10 team in terms of effective field goal percentage and score percentage against in the isolation. And they're the number 1 team this year against the pick and roll ball handler in terms of effective field goal percentage and score percentage. So Damian Lillard may not have a fantastic scoring night, as we know he's a very good, pick and roll scorer. So I think a player prop pivot, we'll get to a total in a second, just like we did with Tyler Hero last night, right? We said Tyler Hero, all right, probably a decent spot for him because he was playing a really good pick and roll defense. So why don't we look at Tyler Hero's assists, and that comes through. And I think that that's something that I'm looking at here with Dame today. Now, I think you can get 6.5. I've seen a couple places already bumping this up to 7.5, so that's not as great. Like, I think that he could easily, if I'm being honest, land on 7, but ultimately that's kind of how I think this goes. So yeah, if you can get, let's see, we have minus 135 right now. He had 11 assists in his last game. I think Dame over in assists could be a good look here. Last time he played the Lakers, which was last 2 times last season, right? He had 12 assists and 8 assists. So obviously a different squad on both sides of things, but averaging 10 over his last 2 against him. So Dame assists could be a look because I do think they'll throw a lot at him in the pick and roll, and he may not have the best scoring of night there. But like I said, this is a Lakers team that's beaten and bruised. Some of those defensive metrics included Rui Hachimura, included Jackson Hayes, included LeBron, that type of thing. In terms of what we have from a total perspective, 224, I don't think this Bucks defense is is firing right now, and they're playing at a fast pace. So I do think that we could see some points in this one. I'm going to lean towards the over solely because I think Milwaukee's going to get whatever they want inside, right? And then again, some of those catch and shoot opportunities should be pretty good as well. If Dame's getting pinched off the pick and roll, he might kick it out to some of these shooters. So yeah, I could see a decent amount of points. Maybe a Milwaukee team total over because that's kind of how I see this going. But at the same time, I'm giving credit to the fact that I don't think this Milwaukee team has played the best of defenses as of late, right? So if you like Milwaukee's team total over, great. If you like the full game over, I kind of think that one's a fine look as well. But Milwaukee over 114.5, 113.5 seems like it could be a move as well. All right, and we do have an underdog free square in that game tonight, assuming Luka plays. New customers are going to get him for 0.5 points. He's the only one on the roster, him and Reeves. It's going to be him and Reeves show tonight, guys. 0.5 points, I think Luka can do it. If you've not checked out Underdog yet, it's great for player props. All you have to do is pick higher or lower on the set projections. If they hit the one that you pick, obviously you're going to get paid out, right? You put multiple of those into an entry. Really cool, really simple, such an easy interface. If you're looking for a quick way to get more action and have some more fun, Underdog is the way to go. That link is going to be down in the description as well as the pinned comment, or you could just sign up using code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON, spelling bee champ. Spelling bee what? Spelling bee champ. All right, you heard it right the first time. Spelling bee champ, guys. Go ahead and check it out. Guy Boston, GUYBOSTON. That link is in the description and the pinned comment as well. If you guys do want to check out Underdog and get this Luka free square, also get up to $1,000 in a deposit bonus. Go ahead and check it out. Let's jump back into the last three games here. Spelling bee champ. Champ. All right, we got a fine game on our hands here. We got Chicago taking on Brooklyn. Honestly, your guess is probably as good as mine here. I do have a couple things that I'd like to note. No Josh Giddey. Lonzo Ball may not be playing. Lonzo Ball really impacts this team. Brooklyn, can we really, like them that much? No, but they've been playing okay against the spread. I mean, they covered against Cleveland, they covered against the Lakers, they covered against Golden State. The only team that they didn't cover against was Charlotte, and that's a weird one, right? So they're a little bit more healthy. They do have D'Lo, they do have D'Angelo Russell, they do have Johnson, Thomas, Johnson, and Claxton starting lineup. Noah Clowney being their only injury to note. So they're a little bit more healthy, and Chicago on the other end, like they've won 3 straight games. This Chicago team seems like they want to lose, so I can't see them being like, let's go for 4 in a row. I just can't. So I think Brooklyn is going to be the spot here. They are the better defensive team. Now, Chicago has actually played some serious defense over the last couple games, but Orlando, Miami, Indiana, they haven't looked all that great. And the last time these two teams played was back in December. Chicago whooped them. The time before that was back in November. Brooklyn whooped them. So let's just hope that, it goes Brooklyn, Chicago, we're back at a Brooklyn spot here. Because I do think if you're getting plus money, Brooklyn could be a spot today. They're the more gritty team. They're the team that seems like they have the younger guys that even they probably should be tanking, these guys aren't, and they're going to play hard. And overall, Chicago's going to run a decent amount of pick and roll plays. Now Giddey and Lonzo Ball are out, so again, keep that in mind. But Brooklyn's a very good team at stopping that. They do take a decent amount of catch and shoot jumpers. Brooklyn's not all that bad on the perimeter. In fact, over the last on the season, actually, we can just use that number. Top 10 team in terms of points allowed from 3. Above the break, 35.7 over the last 10. So yeah, I don't think this is a bad spot for them. We do want to make sure that this is a Brooklyn team that will kind of just solidify and stay strong down low. They've had definitely an up and down year down low, but I kind of trust Claxton against his, opposite here. Vucevic, I believe, is playing, so that's going to obviously be, that's kind of why I bring up the points in the paint, so keep that in mind. But even Vucevic playing, I don't know if that just totally gives them this, this upgrade, you know what I mean? I feel like he's tapped out. They wanted to trade him. I don't think that Vucevic playing means they get their guy back. I don't think it's like that. So give me Brooklyn plus the points. If Chicago wins this one, I wouldn't be surprised. So don't take what I'm saying. I would say take it with a grain of salt. These are 2 bad teams, 2 teams that honestly losses probably benefit them. And, Chicago at home here, there's definitely lanes you can go to say that Chicago could win this one. But I like the side that has the plus number because that's the type of game that anything can happen in. You know what I mean? From a total perspective, right now it's sitting at 230. I like a slight under, maybe like a 227 to 229 finish. Reason being is I've already mentioned once that Brooklyn sort of defense that I do kind of believe in to some degree. And Chicago's offense, though they've won 3 games in a row, this is not a very good and very efficient or consistent offense. So though they may be the team to up the pace, much like I talked about with Washington, I don't really care. It's like, yeah, up the pace all you want. You're not going to have quality possessions. So I don't mind the under here in this spot at all. When it comes to a player prop here, you could go in a couple different directions, I guess, right? Like, I'm not going to try and force anyone into anything here, but a couple that you might want to consider would be something like, let's see, we had one up here, a trend or Cameron Johnson over an assist. I don't mind that. He's hit that every game against Chicago. He's hit it in 4 of his last 5 and in 7 of his last 10. And I really like his matchup here against the Chicago team. So points plus assists and assists for him. And then I also don't mind the idea of Keon Johnson. I think his points line is kind of low for what we have here. And the way that he plays kind of fits the Chicago team really well. They're a transition team, and his second scoring option is the pick and roll. And he's also going to shoot from either restricted area or the 3, kind of no in between. And Chicago's bad at both of those. So that could be a look there. I just don't know if he's always going to get the minutes or the field goal attempts, right? Like, he just played a game against the Cavs a couple days ago. He played 29 minutes, and he shot the ball 4 times, didn't make a single bucket. Time before that, 25 minutes, he shot it 10 times. That was against the Lakers. So keep that in mind, that obviously we do have him coming back and kind of inconsistent, but over 8.5 points for him, and then Cam Johnson assists or points plus assists could be looks here, because if this is an up-tempo game, even though I still like the under, the tempo could be there for Brooklyn. All right, we got New Orleans taking on Orlando. Again, guys, this slate, kind of head-scratching, right? New Orleans right now, they are underdogs at home. Makes a little bit of sense. I wouldn't say this Orlando team has shown us that they are back by any means. In their last 10 games, they've only won 3 of them. Those wins came against Atlanta, Washington, and they beat someone decent. I forget who recently, but Milwaukee or Minnesota. I believe it was Milwaukee. New Orleans, on the other hand, kind of in the same boat, a little bit up and down here. They're coming off a nice win against the Clippers. I will give them that. That was at home. This is a team that has definitely been a lot better at home this year than on the road, and Orlando is the opposite, or Orlando is the same, and they're in the opposite situation. They're on the road. So I think that there are a lot of reasons to like the Pelicans today. I just don't know if we can get, like, do I get there myself? Do I have the cojones to say, let's roll with the Pelicans? I'm not all that sure. This Orlando team, it's Wagner, Banchero, Cole Anthony, Pope, and Carter in their starting lineup. Obviously, we know Jalen Suggs is out, and they've had just a ton of injuries this year. Whereas the Pelicans, like, they're kind of right there with them, a bunch of injuries. So I think I like the home team for a couple different reasons. First and foremost, this Pelicans team is shooting in the paint, I think, and they've been pretty good at scoring in the paint. I'll give them that. Orlando, that's kind of their defensive superpower, so those should counter each other, right? And it shouldn't be like, the Magic are going to dominate it. Yes, they can take a little bit of it away from the Pelicans, but I think the Pelicans can still counter that. And then on the other side of things, it's like, well, this Orlando team's been kind of struggling from 3, which is interesting because they have been, I think, the number 1 team on the season in terms of points allowed from 3. But over their last few games, 17th ranked, and they're allowing over their last 10 games nearly a 40% field goal percentage to their opponents from above the break. It's not that this is a Pelicans team that's going to shoot a bunch from above the break, but they do have CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, some of these guys that if they do get hot, could keep them in this game, alone, to be completely honest. So yeah, having 2.5 points at home in your back pocket against a team that struggles on the road, I don't necessarily mind. The Pelicans have covered in just 37.5% of their, the Orlando Magic, 37.5% of the games on the road. The Pelicans, 56.3%. They're usually getting bigger numbers than 2.5, I'll give you that, but still, I think that this is a decent spot to look at an underdog here. Totals, and so that's just a low scoring game, right? So projected 216. So I think this one could be a game in which those 2.5 points, maybe 3 points, kind of come in handy. I think I've seen a couple threes out there, but either way, I don't even mind Pelicans on the money line. Again, I hate to do it. I've said it multiple times in this video, guys. I get that it's probably frustrating watching and hearing me say, like, oh, do I do it myself? But I'm just being transparent. The format of the show is we go through each and every game. I give my thoughts. It's not always going to be I'm so confident in this. I love it. I love it. I love it. Like, If you're looking for that, then maybe I'm not your guy, because I just like to talk about sports. But New Orleans, do I have the cojones to pull the trigger on it? We'll see. In terms of a total, I do think that New Orleans team total over could be a decent look here, even though I think this is going to be a relatively low-scoring game. I think New Orleans could put something together. Their last game, they scored 127 against a good defense in the Clippers. 2 games before that, 117 against the Rockets. They've kind of gone like good scoring game, low scoring game, good scoring, low scoring. Maybe they tie a couple in a row together here with McCollum and Trey Murphy doing their thing. And that kind of leaks the player prop side that I'm liking. I do like Murphy potentially in terms of, I would say, his threes as well as CJ McCollum. Now, McCollum's three-point line has been kind of all over the place, and rightfully so, right? He's been dominating from 3. So I think you're getting 2.5, I want to say. If it's 3.5, I don't love it as much, but 3.5 for crazy plus money, sure. But 2.5, he's hit it in 3 straight games. Last time he played Orlando, which was last season, he had 5 threes against them. So that could be a look there. And again, I think that that's a way that you could kind of capitalize on some recent weakness from this Magic team. Trey Murphy, on the other hand, his 3-point line is sitting at 3.5 or 2.5, as well. Last time he played Orlando, he only had 2 threes. The time before that, he did have 3, and the attempts should be there for him. If we look at his last few games here, he's averaging almost 9 attempts from 3 per game. Go out there and shoot 33%, and we're golden. On the year, he's shooting, I think, right around that. I think it's like 35%, so over that, but right around it. We should be okay there. So yeah, slight lean towards maybe a Pelicans team total over the Pelicans in general, and then Trey Murphy and CJ, I think, could be decent looks today. All right, Golden State taking on Sacramento. I don't know if I'm happy to announce or just share, but the do not bet graveyard is blank. Suns have turned around, come through for us a couple times. The Kings certainly have, and then Tyrese Halliburton has been removed as well. So we got a empty slate of headstones here. So league is on notice. Players, teams, anybody, don't mess us up, because we got plenty of carving to do over here in the DMB graveyard. I bring that up because the Kings have frequented that main centerpiece headstone there this season, right? In terms of what we have in this one, we are going to kind of want to wait out the injury report to some degree. Kuminga's listed as probable. That's not the big one. Domantas Sabonis on the other side is listed as questionable. Again, not doubtful, not probable, just questionable. So we'll see how that one turns out. I think that if he plays, there is an angle, at least in my dumb brain, to make an argument for this Kings team. Have they been up and down? Sure. Have they looked really good? No. Has the Warriors team looked really good? Hell yeah, they've won a bunch of games in the recent history here overall. But I could see this being somewhat of a closer game. I mean, they've played plenty of times this year, 3 times in the new year. In one game, Sacramento blew them out. The next game, it was a close game. And then the next game, which was the most recent game, Golden State blew them out. And the funny thing is, the blowouts have happened, flip the home court advantage. Sacramento won on Golden State's floor, and then Golden State won on Sacramento's floor, which is interesting to note there overall. But realistically, I do see this being a game in which if Sabonis plays, I think he's got such a size advantage over Kuminga and Green. And throw in, who is it, Quentin Post, right? Who isn't really the smallest of guys. He's a pretty big guy, but I do think Sabonis, now all of a sudden his craftiness comes out against Post. So it's like, no matter where it is, I think Sabonis could kind of help this team big time, which shouldn't be breaking any news to anybody. And Golden State really struggles in the mid-range, which DeMar DeRozan lives and dies in the mid-range, right? So now there's 2 angles to be made for what I like the center. He's either going to oversize guys, or if he goes up against Quentin Post, I think you can craft him and muscle him for sure. And then you throw in some DeMar DeRozan, who's been scoring a ton as well. He should be able to score in the mid-range. You have this Golden State team who has just started to struggle against, they've been pretty good at it, but just started to struggle a little bit more against the pull-up jumper. Zach LaVine, Malik Monk, like all of these things that I think Golden State, though they're a great team defense, good team defense, I should say, these little things that each of these Kings players do well kind of make me think that we could see some good play out of them, right? Even in the isolation, this Golden State team, 20th in score percentage. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards this Kings team plus the 7.5 points. If you're on Golden State, I really don't mean to talk you off of it, but I will say that just seems like it's a little bit too much for me. The Sacramento team has been good defensively, down low all year long, which isn't really where Golden State shoots from, and they struggle from above the break and in the perimeter. So maybe that is your angle, right? It's like, well, Golden State likes to shoot threes. Sacramento's issues are from the perimeter, sure, but they're really good against the catch and shoot. They're decent against the pull up. Like, I think the Sacramento defense could turn around a little bit, or start turning around overall. Really good against isolation. So there's angles to make the Sacramento team. And I do think that, Steph could have a good game, but I think that at some point the wheels kind of fall off of this Golden State team. But I could be totally wrong about that, right? Like that Jimmy Butler trade, even though he's been he's missed some games or might not have the biggest impact on some games. Like something, the switch up turned things around big time for them, and I'll give them credit there. But I think Sacramento, playing decent basketball. I mentioned they've been kind of up and down recently, right? But they're 7-3 against the number in their last 10 games. Like whether they're playing well against the number. So yeah, it's risky. Team coming just off the DNB graveyard, all of a sudden right into a potential final play spot. We shall see. But give me Sacramento plus the 7.5 points. Total right now sitting at 233. I like the under in this one. I think, again, that this is a Warriors team that obviously will try to up the pace against Sacramento, but I think Sacramento's defense could kind of hang in there. And for what it's worth, even if this game does turn into some sort of a transition affair, like Sacramento, 51% of their opponents in transition field goal percentage-wise, that's pretty good. And then Golden State, 50.1. So just over 50. Those are two decent field goal percentage numbers in transition. So even if this one does turn into transition, maybe we have some good defense, on both sides, kind of preventing easy transition buckets overall. And like I mentioned, player props, probably thinking DeMar DeRozan in this one. Overall, I don't mind his points plus assists here. He's been diming up pretty well. He's hit the over in his assist line in 8 of his 10 games, and one of them he finished on the hook. But I'd probably take a peek at his points line right now at 21.5. He has been kind of shaky to that number. I mean, he's always right around there, which is a good thing. Like in his last 10 games here, he's averaging 22 points per game. We'd need 21.5. 22 would cash it, but he's crushed Golden State. Last 5 against them, 39, 33, 12, okay, bad one, 32, 34. So 4 of his last 5 against Golden State, 2 of which being this year, the most recent 2, he's gone 30 plus. So I think this could be a good look for DeMar DeRozan. Obviously, like I said, you can get them in the mid-range, which is where he kind of lives. So DeMar DeRozan over 21.5 points is probably a look here. And then I think Sabonis could have a decent night just overall, depending on what his line is and depending on his health, obviously, as well. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Like I said, iffy slate. But if you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 26. Pretty much made it 26 minutes in. Do truly, truly appreciate you guys and all the support. Yes, we've been on fire in the NBA. Things come to, like, we'll have a bad, and I'm not trying to speak it into existence, right? But we know how this industry works. The other shoe will drop at some point. But I do appreciate you guys rocking with me with the good days, the bad days, and I just hope that we can provide good content to you guys each and every day. So really do appreciate it. And if you did like it, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.